welcome back to the diary. Thank you for joining me. Felt like a long journey this morning, but we're here now. Welcome to Scotland, and day one of the 4 days of the South East Northumberland Pike Anglers Club Jolly Boys outing. We're on one of the bigger locks today to start with, and we may end up spending all 4 days here, to be honest, but we'll just have to see how we go. We've got an additional challenge this week, unfortunately, and that's the weather forecast. Not bad today, damn near perfect, but tomorrow and the day after we've got gale force winds and possibly storm force winds and heavy rain, long periods of heavy rain, which is going to make it a little uncomfortable, I suspect. But hey, we're here now, let's enjoy it. I'll be back when I'm fishing. Well, 2 hours in, and no signs of life. Although one of the lads, Paul, who's about 100 yards down the bank there, he's the one who got out of bed really early and got here first. He had a sort of 5-pound jack early on this morning, and he's just had a very small fish, which he did jokingly suggest he might use as bait. It was that small. But at least it's a fish. Right, a show of interest at last. Yeah, something there. I'm fishing over I think I said earlier, a sort of dead bed of lilies, which at the moment are causing me a slight problem. Oh, nice little jack. There we go then. The inevitable blank saver. Well done, mate. Well, 4 hours in, and it's been a bit slow, to be honest. Just the one small jack for me. Paul along the bank there has just had a nice low double, but normally for this spot we'd expect a bit more action. So yeah, slightly disappointing. But at least the weather stayed reasonable for us, and having just checked the weather forecast, it does seem to have improved slightly for tomorrow. It's still very wet the day after, but we might get a decent day tomorrow as well. Still, a few hours left yet. It's a better one, I think. Yes, good one. Well, that was day one, and a bit disappointing, to be honest. just the one small jack for me. The guys I was fishing with, Paul had the biggest, 11 pounds, and David had the most with 4 fish. I think his best was about 9 pounds, so hardly a red letter day, to be honest. Of the other guys who were fishing elsewhere, the only one I've heard from is Steve, and he had a jack on a lure rod, so it's been relatively quiet. There's one or two of the lads probably haven't fished at all, to be honest, because they drove over later than us, but tomorrow's another day. Let's just see what happens then. Right, good morning. Day 2, and the boys are all spread out today. We 4 of them have gone to a different lock. The 3 of us that were here yesterday are on the same lock but in a slightly different position, and I've already had one tiny jack, so I can claim a blank saver. Dave, who's about a quarter of a mile to my left, has had a 14 pounder this morning, very nice too, in beautiful condition. I have to say, 1 or 2 of the fish that got caught yesterday looked a bit battle scarred, to be honest, but Paul, Dave's 14 this morning, lovely condition. Weather's taken a turn a bit. It was wet when we got here this morning, hence the marquee, but we're due to get a long period of dry, so the forecast tells us, which will be pleasant. I'll be back if anything. Me again. Good news for a change. A brief respite in the weather. It seems to have cheered itself up at least for a while. However, the really good news is that day 2 just became very, very special for my pal Paul, who's 100 yards up the bank. New PB time. Oh, Paul, man.
That's better. Johnny, I was going to get the mama route out here.
Oh, Jesus, that's a proper one, mate.
The size of the treble. 23.
23, yeah. Well, that was day 2. A day of 2 tiny jacks for me, but far from a disappointing day, really. To be able to share in my pal Paul's success was a little bit special. It's always fantastic to see a big pike and to share the enjoyment of another club member. And there was quite a few fish caught today. I mean, not only where we were, but the rest of the lads are on a different lock, and they've had a few as well, so not a bad day. However, we've got to try and sort something out for tomorrow now, because the weather forecast here for tomorrow is desperate. It's strong winds and very heavy rain all day. So we're off to look at a new spot that none of us have fished before, in the hope that we can all fish together and get a bit of shelter. The shelter from the wind's going to be the critical thing tomorrow. So we've got a bit of exploring to do now. I've no idea where we'll end up at the moment, but wherever it is, I hope you can join us in the morning. Well then, good morning. Although it's not such a good morning really. We managed to find a spot last night that gave us, or would give us, some shelter from the wind that was forecast, and now the wind's eased off. Unfortunately, the rain hasn't. It absolutely lashed down while we've been setting up, so everything's got well soaked. So, like I say, a new spot. None of us, we're all fishing in the same area, and none of us have fished here before. So it's a level playing field in that regards. I've done some looking around with a marker float, and it looks quite shallow. I mean, maximum depth I've found so far is about 3 feet. So, but that's enough. There's enough water for the fish to swim, as they say. So hopefully we'll have some fish to show you later on. There we go. Modest, but first of the day. And still the rain comes in biblical proportions on occasions. But I don't think there's any chance of us getting dried out today. It'll be a case of drying out when we get back to the accommodation. However, the good news is there's a few fish being caught. I've managed 2 small ones so far. There's nothing notable have been caught so far. But in what is obviously a very shallow venue here, it's good to see a few fish. Let's just hope there's 1 or 2 slightly larger ones in amongst them somewhere. Right, half an hour or so and that'll be day 3 done. Bit of a tester today, to be honest. The weather early on was desperate and made life a bit hard. It's always interesting to fish somewhere new, a new spot, but I think the overall, hang on a minute, I think the thought something was happening there. Oh, it might be happening. I'll be back in a minute. Well, there we go. Been a long while. It was early this morning when I had the first couple, and now I've got a third, so modest, but still fun. Hey, where was I before we got interrupted? Yeah, I think the overriding, well, we have caught a few small fish, but we know this water can do better than that, and so I think the guys are feeling a little disappointed, but somewhere new tomorrow again. Let's see if we can find some of the better fish, so we'll see you there in the morning. Cheers now. Then. Morning all, and at last, on the final day, day 4 of the trip, we've got a beautiful morning and a very comfortable swim to fish. So all we need now is the fish to cooperate a little bit, and that would be the perfect the perfect ending to the trip. Some of the lads have had to go home last night. Those of them that are still working for a living. Us oldies who are now retired didn't have to think about that sort of thing. So at least we've been fortunate to get one good day out of the trip. Back soon, I hope. You just hate it when that happens. Well, that's it for another Jolly Boys outing. The long drive home tomorrow morning. It's been a lot of fun. These trips always are, to be honest. A bit of social fishing with pals and shared interests, shared ambitions, and a lot of good crack. So it's, as I say, been a lot of fun. We caught quite a number of small fish between us. One or two of the lads had a nice double figure fish, and of course the standout point for the whole trip really was, and my personal high point was sharing the magic with Paul in catching his new personal best fish, 23 pounds. Absolutely magnificent fish. So as I say, that's it. What's next? Well, it'll be more pike fishing. As to the where and the when, I haven't worked that out yet, but whenever it is, I hope you'll be able to join me. Thank you for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did. Until the next time, bye for now.